Next thing you know, they're going to name a wrestler Testicles.
I am Testicles!
We're bringing Warrior back to face Testicles.
Bring Bob Venus in his Testicles.
Brought to you by PaintballToTheEnd.com.
Welcome to lucky episode number 13 of 10 Minute Marks. I am Jeff.
And I'm Paul.
And today we will be doing our favorite Wrestlemanias and our not so favorite Wrestlemanias of all time. Just coming off of WrestleMania 26, which was decent. It was okay. And to start off with, we will let Paul start off with his worst WrestleMania of all time.
The absolute worst. There's a few that are probably nominated, but I know what you're going to think. I'm going with WrestleMania 12. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how could you pick that one? How could you pick that one? That was with Brett and Shawn in the 60-minute Iron Man match.
Which Shawn won, by the way.
Yeah, well, that was a terrific match. It is probably the best main event in any WrestleMania of all time. Mm-hmm. It also had Undertaker and Diesel, which was also a good match. Everything else was absolute bullcrap. The Goldust and Roddy Piper thing was a joke. I mean, they were imitating O.J. Simpson. I think they even used footage of O.J. Simpson in between it to make it look like it was legit. It was a joke. Steve Austin was not quite there yet. He faced Savio Vega, which was... It wasn't... I guess I wouldn't call it a crap match, but it certainly wasn't worthy of WrestleMania. Especially in the middle or near the beginning of the card. And of course, Triple H and Ultimate Warrior. And of course, whenever anyone mentions Ultimate Warrior, they shiver like, is it going to be a bad match?
Right.
It was a bad match, and as much as that part of me wants to tease Triple H because he's always beaten everybody, and he's won the title so many times, I still think him getting squashed by Warrior is a joke. That was not a good way to put Triple H over. It seriously was not. And Warrior did not sell for Triple H at all. Like, Triple H hit the pedigree and he gets up right away. What a way to kill a finisher. So, that is my pick for the worst WrestleMania. Now, on to my favorite WrestleMania. I was sort of a late bloomer when it comes to wrestling, and my first WrestleMania was actually WrestleMania 13. However, through the advent of DVD and DVRing and things...
VHS.
And VHS.
Remember that? Oh.
Yeah. My favorite WrestleMania, and 17 comes in really close.
Yeah.
I'll give it a nomination. Yeah. I want to mention that because it's really well-rounded. But WrestleMania 10 is my all-time favorite WrestleMania, and... Besides the fact that I'm a Bret Hart mark, hence the shirt, it was a really well-rounded one. I can only think of probably a couple matches that kind of sucked. Lex Luger and Yokozuna was a little bit slow and mechanical. I'm not sure if I blame Lex Luger for that, but it was kind of a mechanical match. And the ending with Kurt Hennig, DQing...
I think it was just a bad pairing, because you've got Yokozuna who can barely move around the ring, and then you've got... the robot Lex Luger. It's just not a good pairing.
Yeah, it wasn't the match that was meant to be.
Right.
And the other one that wasn't that great was the Quebecers, whatever, against Men on a Mission. And I've never been a Viscera fan.
No.
And that was kind of a crap match too. However, everything else, Bret and Owen started the show. Terrific match, and Owen won. And it's funny because I'm a Bret Hart fan, but I found myself cheering for Owen halfway through the match. I was like, I want Owen to win.
I did too, because I remember the Royal Rumble, the couple months before, and how they had that tag team match with the Quebecers, and I always thought that Bret not tagging in Owen, and Owen sitting there going, why did you tag me in? Why did you tag me in? And I was sitting here cheering for Owen going, you know what? He's right. Why did you tag him in?
Yeah.
So I was kind of rooting for Owen as well.
Also, the women's title match, Alundra Blaze versus Leilani Kai, was a really good women's title match. They don't have women's matches like that anymore.
No.
Plus the fact that Alundra Blaze was hot. Also, of course, they had Earthquake and Adam Bomb was kind of short match, but I heard it was cut, so I can't really blame the two performers for doing that. And Adam Bomb totally respects Earthquake anyway, so. And of course, I have to mention the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon ladder match, which despite being a Bret Hart fan, that would probably be the best match of the night. It's very well paced. Razor Ramon and Shawn were of course friends, so they had great chemistry, but overall, that would probably be the best match of the night. However, I loved it when Bret, of course, won the belt from Yokozuna.
Yeah.
He opened and closed the show, and it was just a really well done WrestleMania. I think the only really bad thing was Undertaker wasn't there. He wasn't at that WrestleMania, but that's like nitpicking. So overall, that is my favorite.
We're going to go to my worst WrestleMania. I would have to say WrestleMania 7. I know some people like WrestleMania 7 for various reasons and so forth. I just think there was a lot they could have done differently. I'll always contend that the reason it was held in LA Sports Arena, other than at the LA Coliseum, was because they couldn't sell enough tickets to put it in LA Coliseum. I know they'll always say, well, the terrorist thing, blah, blah, blah. You couldn't sell enough tickets because the whole card stunk.
Yep.
And it did, really. There was only 2 good matches on this card as well. And one of them, the Hart Foundation and the Nasty Boys, was decent. The Ultimate Warrior Randy Savage was a great match. But that's saying something about a WrestleMania when you say that the Ultimate Warrior had the best match on the card.
Yeah.
What's that saying about the rest of the card? Okay? That should tell you something right there. I thought they could have done things way differently. I think they could have had the Rockers versus the Hart Foundation for the tag team titles and had the Rockers got over finally.
Yeah.
For various reasons. I mean, what better way to have a breakup of a tag team like the Rockers a few months later than to have them have the tag team belts, before?
Yeah.
Especially going over the Hart Foundation, that would have made them instant credibility right there.
Oh, yeah.
They could have had, instead of having Demolition job to a Japanese tag team that you never heard of again, and having LOD squash Power and Glory, and Power and Glory you never heard of again.
Yeah.
Why not have LOD and Demolition go head to head? Because they were the feud back then. LOD and Demolition was a huge feud back then.
Yeah.
Right before WrestleMania, and somehow they didn't get put together on the card. And the thing was, Demolition was done after that. Why not put Demolition's career on the line?
Yeah.
Have LOD versus Demolition in a career match.
Mm-hmm.
Things could have been so much different. They had 5 different announcers for the WrestleMania instead of the 2 that they usually have. They put Gorilla Monsoon with whoever they could find on the street. I could have announced on that WrestleMania if I'd asked them. There was no build-up to any of the matches. No, you had Earthquake go, or a Big Boss Man going perfect.
Yeah.
With the only real build-up being the whole Bobby Heenan making fun of Boss Man's mom thing.
Yeah, that was...
Big whoop. You had Jake Roberts in a blindfold match with Rick Martel. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's a great use of Rick Martel's talent. The Undertaker squashed Jimmy Snuka. Yeah, there's a way to go for a Hall of Famer. It was just all around. It was just so many things you could have done differently.
The Mountie going over Tito Santana.
Yeah, the Mountie going over on Tito Santana. Are you kidding me? But there's just so many different things you could have done with that. It was such a waste. But on the reverse, while it may not be technically the best WrestleMania, it is my favorite WrestleMania. This is favorites, not best.
Right.
So my favorite WrestleMania is WrestleMania 4. WrestleMania 4 is really when I started paying attention to wrestling. I love the whole tournament idea.
Mm-hmm.
I liked all the other matches that went along. The Strike Force versus Demolition was technically not the best finish. They kind of botched the finish, but it did look good on paper.
Mm-hmm.
The Bret Hart Battle Royal at the beginning of the show where Bret Hart and Bad News Brown get into it, I thought that was a good way to start the event.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just basically, I like the whole storyline going into the WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Hogan losing the title after almost 4 years.
Yeah.
And then the tournament, and how he lost the title, it was kind of soap opera-ish.
It was kind of simple, but it worked.
But it worked.
So.
And they made it work, and then along comes the tournament, and Randy Savage is the only one to wrestle 4 matches, and he ends up winning.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great, overall, I mean, it's just where I came into wrestling, and that's the WrestleMania that did it for me. You know, technically, no, probably not the best, but it's my favorite because it's what got me interested in the sport. That being said, send us your comments, your opinions. What's your favorite and least favorite WrestleMania? Put comments down there or email us at 10minutemarks@yahoo.com. And with that being said, I do believe we are done!
I was going to mention Warrior hitting himself with a chain.
How must I prepare, you must ask yourself? Should I jump off the tallest building in the world? Should I lay on the lawn and let him run over me with lawnmowers? Should I go to Africa and let him trample me with raging elephants?